You won't get killed for it, but Israel doesn't recognize gay marriage.
We're not saying kick out all the Israelis between that area. That's not what anybody wants. I mean, they're human beings as well, right?
And in my mind, Israel to the sea, there should be a chant. Exterminate the Jews, get rid of Israel, obliterate Israel. That's what it means to me.
I don't like Netanyahu.
No.
Do you like Netanyahu?
No.
We don't like Netanyahu.
He's an enemy to Israel.
The Arabs, if they've got a gripe, it should be with Britain, not the Jews, because they didn't steal the land, we gave it to them.
What does from the river to the sea mean to you?
It means the end of my Jewish homeland. I wasn't born in Israel, but I feel a connection to it every time I visit it.
What does from the river to the sea mean to you?
That they want to eradicate Jewish people out of the Middle East. Just as simple as that, really. But when you ask people who don't come to these marches, they can't even tell you what river or what sea it is. They just look at you blank. I've asked people at work and they just go, oh, I don't know.
When people say from the river to the sea, what do you mean?
Well, Palestinian people live by the River Jordan and they live by Gaza, which is by the sea. We want all Palestinians between the River Jordan and the sea to be free. I mean, we're not saying kick out all the Israelis between that area. That's not what anybody wants. I mean, they're human beings as well, right? There's a lot of propaganda about what people are meaning, what people are saying. The truth is, everybody here, you can see how many people there are. They're from all nationalities, from every walk of life, all ages. This is what humanity is about, right? All we want is peace. We want people to live in dignity.
Do you think most of the people in London are pro-Palestine?
I think most of the people around the world are pro-Palestine.
Well, I've heard that, when I was living in Israel. I mean, for us it was obvious. It's from the Jordan River, to the Mediterranean Sea, that the Jewish state shouldn't be, and the goal of certain crazy people would be to wipe out the Jewish nation, yeah? But I don't believe the average Palestinian thinks like that.
What does from the river to the sea mean to you?
To me, I'm Israeli.
Yes.
So the river to the sea, this is Israel. But I still believe in a two-state solution. So I think the Palestinian was there. They have a right to be in their land and they need to have, their freedom, but not if they're killing us.
Most people think it means one state, just a Palestinian state and not a Jewish state. It can also mean something different. It can mean a two-state solution. I think most people view it as saying Israel can't exist. So that's why people shouldn't really say it.
And in my mind, Israel to the sea, there should be a chant. Exterminate the Jews, get rid of Israel, obliterate Israel. That's what it means to me.
I think for somebody who knows what it is, it's quite hurtful. And it really is, and hearing it being chanted on the streets, it makes you afraid and makes you not, this is also my place as well.
And if people mean that from the river to the sea should be free, then that literally is supporting the killing of all the Jews who are living at the moment between the river and the sea.
So when you say from the river to the sea, what do you mean?
Well, you'll probably get different answers to all the people that here that you speak to, but most people, they see it as freedom for the Palestinians in that region. Not to take over the whole region, which a lot of the press are suggesting that's what we mean, but peace for both sides, rights for both peoples within that region. So from the river to the sea, Palestinians and Israelis should be free living together.
What does from the river to the sea mean to you?
Well, it means freedom for the Palestinians. It doesn't mean the destruction of Israel, and it never has meant the destruction of Israel.
What does from the river to the sea mean to you?
It's a difficult one.
It's difficult.
I mean, one person had a sign saying democracy from the river to the sea. And somebody came up to him and was very angry because they saw the phrase from the river to the sea.
Yeah.
And they didn't hear the word democracy.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult phrase. It needs to be shared territory from the river to sea.
Shared territory from the river to the sea.
They have to share. And those settlers have to go. They have to leave the territory that illegally occupied.
For me, it's kind of just sort of a call back to Zionism, when Palestine was a free land and you had Christians, Muslims, Jewish, Bedouins of all living peacefully together.
Both leaders have to want peace. Certainly Netanyahu doesn't. You need to align.
I don't like Netanyahu.
No.
Do you like Netanyahu?
No.
We don't like Netanyahu.
He's a disaster for the Arab population as well as the Jewish population. He's an enemy to Israel.
I feel like Netanyahu needs Hamas just as much as Hamas needs Netanyahu.
It's almost he did this on purpose to
He didn't do it on
protect his.
purpose.
We don't know, but it almost like they're like the very, very right wing in Israel, are very happy. They think now they'll get their land back. They think it's their land and that all belongs to them. And I do not agree with that.
I don't know how true this is because I can't verify it, but that Netanyahu tacitly supported Hamas in order to keep a divide between them and Fatah.
I feel like Netanyahu needs Hamas and Hamas needs Netanyahu.
Yeah.
Netanyahu would not be able to survive without Hamas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Hamas was not created by Israel, but it was in some ways supported
Yeah.
by them in America to break the Palestinian vote up.
PLO,
the PLOs.
This is a genocide going on, and it really needs to be stopped. We want peace. Everybody wants peace. I don't understand why we don't have peace. Why all this killing's going on. You know, it's over land, it's over resources, but we're all human, we shouldn't be doing this. This is not about Judaism or anything else. This is about occupation and the freedom of the Palestinian people.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
What's that?
Oh no, I'm just giving you a pound. It's my hand.
So I thought you were giving me a gift.
I
was going to go and find every other person with a camera and say, what have you got for me?
Yeah, we got some chocolates. There you go.
This has obviously been going on for many, many years, but the killing at the moment has surpassed the sort of the rate of killing that we've ever seen in the Middle East, and it's just gone beyond the joke, and it has to end. Whatever you see in the press, these protests are peaceful, and the people here are for the right reasons, and it shouldn't be portrayed any other way.
Shouldn't be betrayed as, I feel like anti-Semitism sort of dismisses.
Yes, we're not here to destroy the scimitar, etc., or, or we're not unpatriotic. These are the most patriotic people that you will ever see.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Time after 70 years they need a state, and probably the only thing is a one-state solution with human rights for everybody.
Free Palestine. Since 1948, a whole country been taken from its original people. So hopefully we're here to do some change.
So what does it mean, a one-state solution or a two-state solution?
I would say 2 states at the moment because there's no other option.
Okay.
At least.
What does Palestinian liberation mean to you?
It means to stop killing all these innocent people, and the destruction of Gaza, and the imprisonment of endless people in the West Bank, which has been going on since, really since 45, but certainly since 67.
We need one state with human rights for everybody, absolutely everybody. America has to stop aiding and abetting the Israelis, and they have to stop aiding and abetting, Britain has to stop that aiding and abetting, and insist on the international law being held by everybody, human rights for everybody. That means the Palestinians in the Gaza, East Jerusalem and the West Bank. And all of the human rights abuses that are happening need to be stopped, and America has the power, and they should, and so does Britain, and they should do it.
What does Palestinian liberation look like to you?
For me?
Yeah.
Simple. One land, everybody living in peace. Everybody who wants to live there, everybody who wants to return there, whether they're Arabs, Jewish, Christian, everybody. Why not? Europe should be the same. North America is the same. Mexico border, whatever. I don't believe in passports. I don't believe in borders. And I think like today is brilliant because, like all the marches I've been on, it's every demographic and it's every religion here. It's not really about religion. It's just, to me, it's simply about fighting over land and power, which we see all over the world. It's exceptional what's going on at the moment, but it's not unique, is it really, to Israel Palestine? It's in such a small geographic area, which is why it's so concentrated. Everyone's focus at the moment.
Yeah.
If you look at the comparison of Palestine at the time of the mandate and Palestine now, it's just, a few little settlements with settlers, illegal settlers, everywhere. So there's hardly a Palestine left. Unfortunately, that Israel has quietly got on with facts on the ground, and everybody has looked the other way at each of the intifadas. And now, where does Palestine get its land.
What I found is in New York, many people are afraid of being doxxed. Even the organizers warn you and to wear masks.
Yeah, no one talks to us in New York.
In New York, everyone's so scared. They wear masks and you're scared when we went to the ones in New York. So I noticed earlier that, or during this march today, that less people are afraid to speak out, but especially older white men. They're unreserved in their opinions, which is, it's great that we were able to get such eloquent thoughts. As opposed to in New York where people shy away from the camera, but also I noticed that people that are from the BIPOC community and also women are less likely to speak up just because of probably of the ramifications.
Yeah, it seems like like anyone who's like a pensioner doesn't care at all. They're like, I'm on a pension, I don't care. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, you're not taking away my pension.
And it's interesting because you also get away with it as an older white male too. Even when we went to the British Museum, your friend that met up with us.
Danny Price, yeah.
Danny Price, that when we went into the British Museum, Walter was fine. He had a microphone in his bag. They did not take it away from him, but a black man, they took it away from him right away.
They took away his mic.
And they searched his whole backpack for you. They just took a peek inside.
Oh, they saw the mic.
The UK has to take responsibility for its guilt in all this.
Yeah.
For many years of its guilt.
So what I've been told is that most of the citizenry supports a ceasefire, but it's Parliament, it's the MPs that are not in support. The Prime Minister, your elected representatives don't represent you.
Exactly, that's why we need complete change. We need citizen assemblies. I'm fed up with party politics. It doesn't work. We have to take charge.
I'm a Quaker, and I think it's so tempting in America for people to, be captured by the industrial military complex, to be captured by the idea of, really, really bad things happened on the 7th of October, so let's get stuck in.
We did that after 9/11.
Yeah, that didn't work so well. And I think, fortunately, there are so many people speaking up. It's difficult in America with the Israel lobby, but clearly that's where a big part of the solution is. I hope we could see Russia, China, America, but predominantly the Arab countries, sitting down. Maybe it's Qatar that's helping with that, like they've done with the hostages, and they get to a point where they can actually talk about, are we going for a two-state? Are we going back to one state? But whatever.
So you're talking about being judged differently than, let's say, Iran, Jordan.
No, but also the US, UK, Germany, France.
I have no problem judging the United States the same way, calling it an imperial power. I have no problem doing that.
No, I'm sure. I don't think this is necessary to bring everyone down to the same level when you can bring everyone up to the same level. It is really unfortunate that we live in a world where sometimes force needs to be used. I don't think that it's always negative, always wrong to be using force to defend yourself, your loved ones.
Do you support a ceasefire?
I support a pause in order to bring aid into Gaza and to allow those that are non-combatants to evacuate the areas where fighting takes place. I do not think that fire should be seized now, because that will only play to the hands of Hamas. For the long-term peace and prosperity of everyone in the region, Hamas needs to be rooted out.
Can I get one?
I don't mind talking to you. You can record it, but I don't know about the video. If that's okay.
What is anti-Semitic about Palestinian liberation and talking about those issues?
I see. I don't think it is necessarily anti-Semitic, talking about Palestinian liberation, unless by Palestinian liberation you mean the destruction of Israel. Or not only the destruction of Israel, or an unfair focus on the actions of Israel and the requirements and obligations you put on a Jewish state as opposed to any other state. But in and of itself, it's not anti-Semitic to want Palestinians to be free. We all, in fact, I personally want Palestinians to have the freedom of movement, of labour, of travel, of everything. We would just ask for a peaceful partner who is willing, just like in Jordan and Egypt, we'd leave everyone alone. What are you hoping for? I think maybe nothing, maybe just covering it.
Well, I'm hoping, my personal thing is I'm hoping for one state solution that has Jews, Muslims, Christians living under the same banner.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but if it became a Palestinian state, and then they would want a right of return for millions of Palestinians from around the world. I'm not saying that's wrong, even. I'm just saying if that happens, then you're going to have a minority state, and even by the way,
I don't like right of return. I mean,
but they do.
What do you want to see for Israel?
Peace. That's the main thing. I'm happy for Arabs and people like that to live there, but my only concern is there's quite a large number of them who don't want to live there with the Israelis, with the Jewish people, or the Christians even. That's the problem. To be honest, I don't think there'll ever be peace. I think there'll always be some fraction somewhere who will not be happy, because we've had that in Northern Ireland between Protestants and things, so it's not just Jewish and Muslim. I think it's just...
Well, I'm Irish, so I mean, that took hundreds of years. It took a long time. And the Irish Republican Army did awful things to gain independence. I mean, they blew up pubs with families in it.
I remember the troubles.
I mean, they practically invented terrorism. They trained in Libya. They stood against apartheid. They're like pro-Palestine. And so the Irish are actually a bad example in this situation.
But this is the thing, though. It's not just that one area. It's not like you can just say it's only them that are causing trouble. So
that was the Brits causing the trouble.
Well, yes. I've always thought that about Ireland, that it was our fault, even though I'm English.
Yeah. I feel like the Brits are to blame for British mandated Israel as well.
Yeah. I mean, the Arabs, if they've got a gripe, it should be with Britain, not the Jews, because they didn't steal the land. We gave it to them, or the United Nations gave it to them.
So we're in this because of British colonialism.
Yeah.
At this point, there's this incredible body count that is just very upsetting.
It is upsetting.
And it's not, if these were combatants, that would be, that's combat, but these aren't combatants. 1,200 people being dead and 200 hostages is horrific. As well. I don't want to discount that either.
If Palestinians or Israeli Arabs are living in Israel, they would have more rights as Arabs and Palestinians living in Israel than they would have if they lived in Gaza or the West Bank. If they live in Israel, for instance, if you're gay, you wouldn't live in Palestine. You wouldn't live in the West Bank. Could be gay, they'd be fine in Israel. But if they were gay in Gaza, they would have been thrown off a tall building.
That's a weird talking point, because you cannot get gay married in Israel.
Well, no, but they don't persecute you or throw you off buildings if you
but they don't allow gay marriage. So they're not going to kill you.
No,
that's true. You won't get killed for it. Yeah. But Israel doesn't recognize gay marriage. They'll recognize it if you got gay married in another country. And you come to Israel, they'll recognize it. I'm from the States.
You're from the States?
Yeah, I'm from the States.
What's that mean?
From New York.
Oh, you're from the United States. So were you there on 9/11? How old were you on 9/11?
I was there on 9/11.
Were you there at the time?
What?
Was you in New York at the time?
Yeah, my dad was in one of the buildings. He got out.
He got out. Oh, I'm happy to hear that. That after this is finished and Hamas is gone, there is enough money in the world to make Gaza one of the most beautiful places in the world. I believe that.
For who?
For the Palestinian people.
Okay.
For the Palestinian people, yeah. Something changed on I watched it live because I watch Israeli news every Saturday morning. I watch the just to catch up, and I saw it unfold live, and I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. And I knew as soon as I was watching it that the whole of the Middle East and the whole of Israel has changed forever.
I was very supportive of them having their own, they had their land in the Gaza, they got their independence to be there, and instead of building something, amazing something by the Mediterranean Sea, they use all the money to kill.
They've been under military blockade since 2005, so that it's difficult for them to have, self-determination and be, a thriving financial economy.
Well, it's clearly a terrible situation, and hopefully after all this horror, we won't go back to the status quo, and there will be real drive for two-state solution.
Yeah, do you support a ceasefire at all?
Not until all the hostages are back. Definitely not.
I support a humanitarian pause. I don't support a ceasefire at the moment, because you have to get the hostages home first.
And I want to say this to our friends, if the people who support pro-Palestine, of course you can support Palestine, they're people like the Jews, like everybody, but why don't they support Cyprus, my country occupied by Turkey for 50 years? Why don't they support Kurdistan, Armenia? No, they don't, because it's Israel.
It's an excuse for anti-Semitism,
It's
I believe.
yeah.
Because you don't see them on the streets for any other cause, political cause.
Supporting Palestinian liberation isn't anti-Semitic in and of itself.
Not in and of itself.
But if they want to get rid of the Jews to get a bigger Palestine, then that is.
And a lot of the Palestinians, what they say, they came from Egypt as workers in the 50s into the Gazan area, into Israel.
Israel.
But we obviously, being Christian, we love the Jews, we love the Arabs, we love the Muslims, the Palestinians, the Turks, even who made in my country, Cyprus, we love them all. But Christ said, love your enemies. No other religion says, love your enemies.
Whereas, I'm afraid,
and do good, but
Islam says, kill your friends.
It says the Jews, I'm afraid it's in the second part, the Quran, it's in there. But we love the Muslim people.
Let's say hypothetically, let's just say Hamas is, wiped out, or the leadership is rejected by Gazan, and there's new leadership that's more amenable. Would you agree to giving back settlement land or anything
That's
like
a very good question. Theoretically, if you'd asked me this question from scratch, potentially, but if you look back into the history of it happening, in terms of the last 5-6 times when Israel gave away land, it's always been met with serious consequences. So if you would tell me this is giving away land and the other side of the deal would be kept, that there's not another threat coming closer to Israel's borders, then potentially. But you look at Gaza giving away Gush Katif and giving Gaza over to originally the PA and then to Hamas, it hasn't turned out great. So I think Israelis are skeptical about doing that again in the future.
Is there anything intrinsically anti-Semitic about supporting Palestinian liberation?
Well, it depends what that means. If you want to destroy the people of Israel, then yeah. I think if you want to kill Jews and those living in Israel, then yes. If you are concerned for innocent Palestinian civilians getting injured or hurt or killed, then there's no problem with it.
What concerns me is the non-combatants that are getting killed, by the hour.
It's a great concern for everybody, I think. But at the same time, this didn't happen before the 7th of October. There was not in the same numbers that are happening right now. There was not a need for that to happen. But after they took the captives, there was a need that this cannot continue anymore. And I think, unfortunately, Israel's had to go in quite heavily handed to retrieve the hostages and to wipe Hamas out.
That's my problem. All these civilian targets, Hamas, they're not great actors in this, but I feel like it's just been thrown around. The name has been thrown around whenever a civilian target gets hit, whenever there's non-combatants that get hit. It comes up in every conversation as just a way to dismiss a solution. It comes up whenever there's civilian targets hit.
I think for the good of the Israelis and the Palestinian people, Hamas needs to go. Because at the moment, it's just being kept in this.
I personally think that Netanyahu and Hamas need each other to create a culture of fear.
I don't believe in that.
I'm not talking about Israel. This is just political leaders. So
go on. I saw yesterday Gigi Hadid posted on Instagram, right, about Israel cruelly imprisoning children and teenagers.
Yeah, no, they exchanged the teenagers with the hostage for hostage.
Right. Well, a hostage. Okay, so that's very interesting. So we're comparing a hostage for hostage. Okay. Now the one hostage is an innocent Israeli living on a kibbutz. And the other one, the Palestinian prisoner, which there's video footage of him running after a soldier with a knife. Now, in my eyes, that's not hostage for hostage. That's hostage for terrorist. If you would tell me, and we'd both look at it and say, this is an innocent Palestinian, and he's just ended up in an Israeli jail, then I'd say, yeah, hostage for hostage. But if you show me a footage of that Palestinian running with a knife, trying to kill an Israeli, then I don't take that. If you want to truly look through it, I'd be happy to sit down with you and find out details of the majority of them, and I'd say yes. Whereas I've been in places in London where I have felt unsafe as a Jew because people want to hurt me. Again, I'm not saying you v me. Palestinian has killed my cousin, and I don't hate you. If you don't hate me and you don't want to kill me, then I'm happy to talk to you.
Well, no, I've been to a lot of pro-Palestine protests with rabbis, with Orthodox Jews and everything, and I've been trying.
Orthodox Jews is interesting. That's Netua Karta, which is a very small sect of Orthodox Judaism, not so much considered as mainstream. It's something more to research.
The point is, I want people to see so many different types of Jews in the world.
Right.
To put them into one box is, that leads to anti-Semitism. I want people to see a rabbi at a pro-Palestine protest. I want them to see that there are Jews right alongside them that want liberation.
And I'd love to see Palestinians at Israel rallies, for the freedom of the hostages.
I've used my platform back in the States to talk about anti-Semitism. Normally I cover Trump rallies, and I know all the dog whistles for anti-Semitism back there. It's Soros. It's Soros is funding everything. There's a cabal of Jews. Rather than talk about the failures of capitalism, they just blame it on the Jews.
Right.
So like I'm versed enough. I know when I can hear it when someone like legitimately does not like Jews and wants to scapegoat